Hey TBN, a part of this audience has asked me for a while to do something much more simple and cheap and compact and portable. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a cooler live well. We're gonna make like the best one ever. Like the little bilge pump with the hose inside circling around. Not only is that not really all that great, but they don't last very long. So we're gonna make a legitimate one where there's nothing inside except for a strainer and a nozzle like a regular live well. And we're gonna show you how to ensure no leaks on the bottom pump, because let's be honest, we're gonna do this out of an igloo cooler from Walmart and those flex in and leak. Completely portable, and we have the kit on our site. It's right here, tvnation.net. Also, just for whatever, I generally don't even mention about subs. The vast majority of the time I forget to even like ask you guys to sub in my videos. But because we're at 90,000-ish, thank you all for that. It'd be pretty cool to make 100. After 100, I don't particularly care. My channel doesn't really make it off subs. I just kind of want a plaque that I can use to replace these useless degrees on my wall. Anyways, that's all I got. Check this video out. Sweet. Come on, check this out. It's got a nozzle here. It's a little venturi, so when the water's pulling through, it actually sucks air, kind of like a vacuum, as the water's running through, and it sucks it through, and it actually blasts out a mixture of air and water as the water's running through and cycling through. We're gonna get to this in a little bit. We have the best live well / bait well pump you could ever get, which is the Roll. It's touted by us, at least, to be the best. And there's Johnson, there's a few others, but this one is by far the choice of mine. This is a Walmart cooler. I chose this cooler because, for one, it was cheap, and two, it had small walls. Now if you go to traditional coolers, they're like exceptionally thick, and they're not all that much more effective. We actually made a cooler mod for the Tracker V18 out of this exact cooler, and Nick says it holds ice for pretty much the whole day, holds drinks for pretty much the whole day, and is a huge lifesaver and morale booster that allows you to enjoy your time out there. So we are going to end up using this one for the live well itself. So I personally had to trim this to make it work on this cooler. You won't have to do this for all applications, but for this application, we trimmed enough of the major block off just so we could have the grip of it, and it would still hold, but I would still have a full grasp to get the nozzle to fit. I want it to fill right here. Seems like a nice little spot to grip, and it'll give me room to run the hose. When you do this, just get enough to go through standard and then reverse the bit so it melts through the plastic with heat. Otherwise, it will crack the inside of the shell, and that'll cause you a lot of other problems that you'll have to fix. It'll take longer, but it's worth it. So it's pretty nice thick quality foam in there. Let's do it. Honestly, for an igloo cooler that's just cheap and affordable, this is actually a pretty well built cooler. We trimmed one of the plastic nuts on the back side out to make room for the front nut and the clearance for the actual nozzle itself, but it appears that both of those are going to have to get trimmed so they can actually fit correctly. It will have sufficient clearance on the threads for the nozzle itself as it attaches with just one O-ring on a very small premise, and without that it just doesn't work right. The nozzle, once it's in there, has a full 360-degree turnaround, so you can spray the nozzle any which way, down at an angle so it spreads more across the tank, and you can even angle it outside so it just sprays the water right out of the cooler. So if you're trying to drain water and put in new water, it's super easy to do it. Remember, this is a demo. You need to go in here and actually put a bead of silicone or bead of 3M 5200, which is absolutely preferred over the silicone, just to give you that extra seal inside. Outside, it doesn't matter. You're not trying to stop water from coming in here. You're trying to stop water from coming out or bleeding out the cracks into the foam, which then we all know that's problems. All right, there it is. There's a nozzle. It is in. Now, this is a standard nozzle. It's not the aerator pump out nozzle that pulls out. That's really not needed for the system. The whole point of the system is it's supposed to be super easy and basic and not hard. So we got a few options for this. So we have in our hand here. All right, so I think we're gonna do it right there. out. Alright, get deburr the whole thing. I mean, that portaband, if you don't have one of these, you can find 1,000,001 things to use that. That's like my primary saw. That's like my go-to. Safest, quietest, cleanest cuts. I mean, and pretty straight if you're skilled with it. But see how tight that fits in? That's about, I couldn't have hoped for a better fit. That's why I did it. I saw that it could fit pretty darn tight in there. Okay, so just so you know, we could put this in here and get maybe a lot more cleaner look because this is way smaller and not as whatever. You also have, you can get smaller pumps. I think it's actually a Teach Marine pump that I was gonna use and never did. But the point is that you have options. Fun fact, this Flow-Rite hose has a strip of PVC in it. So when you heat it up, it'll stay that way. And he also sent us 2 of these, which is pretty dope. We'll put those on in a second. We'll show you what they're all about. Right now we just need them on the pipe before we put this on. And you kind of gotta hold it in place. You gotta put something there so that you gotta hold it in place or put something there so that it stays that way, because that's how we want it. And honestly, it being down like that about as low profile as we're gonna get it. I know it's kind of out. I know it's kind of out and it's kind of ugly that way, but I'm okay with this, me personally. You might want it more low profile in that point in time. Checking into a different type of more low profile pump, which is the Atwood is actually much more low profile than all of them. Was done. Switch. Inline fuse holder, 5-amp fuse. Alright, I have this resin. Really, you can use any sort of 5-inch epoxy, some Gorilla Glue epoxy, but because I have this, and I don't have Gorilla Glue epoxy to show you, this is casting resin, and it is super hard, ridiculous plastic that cures in about 20 seconds. It's actually probably the best stuff that I can use for this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna create a bottom ceiling buffer for the wall and the hole we drill, because that wall will flex. Make no mistake about it, if we don't clear that up in there, it will flex. We're going to very tactfully, before it dries, pour it in there. Alright, so here we are. You pour that plastic in there, and it's still very hot, the plastic to itself, but that's pretty solid in there. And it's dried and completely now it's like a wall. Now this will not wobble or move at all. So now that the bulk majority of this project is built, now all we have to do is run a lead system wiring to the actual battery. So that goes with some 14 gauge heat shrink ring connectors around 14 gauge Anchor Marine grade wire that will be running. We already ran an inline fuse directly to the inline switch, which is the only one I had for this demo. But in the kit that we have associated with this, we have a link down there for a true marine grade inline switch you can use to power this whole thing. This extension lead truly makes this setup very portable. And I'm gonna run this in the pit of my boat, but if somebody wanted to make this like a shore banging kit, just attach some wheels to it, get a little cart, get a little tiny little battery that will run the pump. That's not hard to find, a little lightweight battery that'll do that. If you want like a shore banging, like we're using these, just FYI, these are not approved by ABYC standards or by USCG standards. These are, that being said, I love these things. They are self-soldering. They have an adhesive here that heats up and seals the wire. It's the best of both worlds. It's the best connection is a solder connection. The whole thing is, this low temp solder is super low temp. So that makes me wonder what would happen if the wire heated up a lot. But that's why we have the fuse. Under this circumstance, just for this pump, I think it's fine. But anything like too big, I probably wouldn't run these for like excessive amounts of lights but to run an accessory, I think it's good. Otherwise, you might want to stick to straight butt connectors. All right, connected, all the way lit up. Here's to our switch. Here's our pump. It's full of water. There's no leaks at all. As anticipated, it is completely sealed and never gonna flex. You can't even unscrew that if you tried. It's like part of the cooler now. So here we go. So there it is, and as expected, it runs flawlessly. There is nothing in the side, no internal bilge pump with hoses running around, nothing for your fish to run into, nothing to get clogged up. It's all outside of the cooler like a true Livewell. It runs fantastic. You use this setup, and I don't care what fish is in there, it's gonna live. It is fantastic, it is portable, it is everything we need to do. We could have made it more low profile, but this is just my style of how I want to run mine. But we have this kit in our store, check it out. It's all here. Thank you much, guys, for watching. Stay tuned.